the Big Friendly Swim podcast. I'm the Big Friendly host, and today's guest is one of the co-head coaches at Cal Poly Swim and Dive, a team that recently got fairly unceremoniously cut. Kim Carlson, how are you?
I'm good. Well, as good as can be expected,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's been a lot to digest.
Well, talk to me about, let's get some background here first. Talk to me about when you first got hired onto the team last year and the announcement of that co-head coaching like thing that the athletic department wanted to do.
So Tracy Granger, they asked her to be the head coach, and she wasn't sure if she wanted to be a full-time head coach. She had been one of the assistants the last 3 years. She was my coach at Cal Poly. She coached me all those years ago. I had grown up swimming here in Slow Swim Club, and then got a full ride to Florida State and swam there for 3 years. Loved the school, but I wasn't swimming very well and was injured. So I came back and had to sit out a year because back then everybody had to sit out a year. And then swam my last year at Cal Poly for Tracy. Had a wonderful year, all best times. She really is a positive coach, and I always thought, oh, if I could coach with her again, I'd do it. And she asked me, and so I couldn't turn it down. And I've been coaching in the Bay Area club and rec, and my daughters swam, through college. So
Where you mentioned that you guys lived in Walnut Creek. What team in the area did you swim for?
the kids swam for the Terrapins. And Walnut Creek Aqua Bears, and I coached at Walnut Creek Aqua Bears, and I also coached rec in Walnut Creek for years and years. I probably coached at least 5,000 kids everywhere I would go in Walnut Creek. I would say, Coach Kim. And so when people are like, she's never coached, I'm like, you got that wrong. So, but it was really disheartening to see everything that the swimmers had been through the last couple of years with different coaches and things like that. So we really tried to foster a positive environment. Our whole plan was to swim fast and have fun.
I mean, yeah, it's a good plan.
Hmm. I mean, school's hard enough,
Yeah.
and especially there, Cal Poly is all engineering and computer science. Sorry about that, my dogs. And um, the it's all so we would always keep it light, keep it positive. It's not life or death, it's swimming. um and the kids responded to it really well, and we raced every day in practice and had a ball. We just had the best season ever. So
I was gonna say, I feel like on some level that like mindset clicked with the athletes because it seemed
yeah.
like everybody was having a good time. Like I was there at one of your last dual meets against University of Pacific,
Oh, the
and
one where they didn't give us enough warm-up time. Did you see that?
I got there like 20 minutes before the meet started.
We did too.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
but
another podcast.
but talk to me about like the season as a whole and like when you guys kind of started to realize you had this ball rolling of like, oh, we might have an undefeated season on our hands.
We beat Santa Barbara right off the get-go, which hadn't happened in a while, and they were a little bit shocked but we had diving too, so and they didn't have diving,
Yeah.
so they did beat us in the swimming portion, but we beat them overall, and then we were on a roll from there on the men's side, and the women's were coming back too, that strong too. We had a lot of incoming freshmen that year that are really good, and then we were told to trim the travel budget, so we didn't go to San Diego. And then I saw this Texas meet where my kids had swam at that meet. My daughter went to USC, and my other daughter went to UCLA, and I was like, we should try to get into this meet. So we were able to get into the Texas Invitational, not realizing that it would be like the fastest mid-season meet in the country. We're like, uh-oh. But our swimmers are great. We had Drew and Evan. You made the finals. Drew got second. Only one Texas guy beat him, and he had like 6 Texas guys in his heat. And USC was there, Wisconsin. So, I mean, Stanford with women that were there. And so then we realized, and then they did all best time. Like everyone comes, I said, how was that time? They go, that's my lifetime best, lifetime best. We had, and I think we had 5 school records broken, at that meet.
Yeah, I remember specifically that Texas Invitational, seeing the results and seeing a few Cal Poly swimmers in the top 8, and I was like, oh, I didn't even realize they were at the meet.
We just took 11 guys that had U.S. Open cuts,
Yeah,
and because we didn't want to take up space too, if other people were there, and so they let us in, which Bob Bowman was really nice to let us in, and we're like the little mid-major school that could,
yeah,
it's like we're not giving up. And then we decided to go to Las Vegas to take everybody to Las Vegas, and we had 58 lifetime bests there, a bunch of more school records, top 5 times. And then we knew we were on to something,
yeah. So I've heard it from the athlete's perspective of like everything that went down last week. Of they got the email Thursday night, and they had a team meeting immediately Monday or Friday morning. But talk to me about things from the coach's perspective, like when you guys kind of caught wind of, oh, the team might be getting cut, and what the process was like in telling you that was going to happen.
He sent us a text that just said Thursday evening that meet me in my office at 7 a.m. And I sent out an email to the swimmers, and I'm meeting them at 7:30. So we knew,
Yeah.
So I told the captains, this is probably not good. So be prepared with questions. Be prepared to, And yeah, he did. He just cut us, and shocking. So the swimmers after the meeting came up to the pool, and everybody was crying. We tried to talk everybody, we didn't know what to do. I mean, it was just shocking, and then we decided, hey, we're gonna try to fight this and see what happens.
I remember waking up that Friday morning, and it hit close to home for me a little bit, because my younger brother goes to Cal Poly. He's swimming on the club team. Like, he had dreams of trying to like get faster over the course of his freshman year to try to like walk onto the team his sophomore year. And so it kind of hit close to home for me that like, oh, he's not even going to get the opportunity to try to do that. And then also, just as a fan of college swimming, as somebody who got to swim in college myself,
right,
and was lucky enough, because of COVID, I got an extra 2 years at my community college. It hit for me that like, I want these athletes to have the opportunity that I had. Like, they shouldn't be getting so unceremoniously having this dream taken from them.
right. And it was literally ripped from them overnight.
Yeah.
It's like we were planning for the next year. We were really excited. Oops, sorry.
No worries.
About the next season. We really were going to build off of that. We thought we could improve to second and first on the men's side, and the women coming in. We had a lot of recruits coming in. That breaks my heart, the incoming recruits,
I mean, the Evan and Alex told me like they literally had a recruit from Georgia who was there on campus day of.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're like, we told him to meet us at practice, and we had to tell him practice was canceled.
Yeah.
So. And then I had to tell him, so it was not fun. But the athletic director had been threatening to cut swimming for a few years. And it had just started with a coach that was there before that the athletes went in and complained to Don about, and he didn't listen. They went back again, and then finally they went over his head because he wasn't doing anything. I think it was 2 years of complaints. And once they went over his head, he was not happy about that, and then kept saying, if you keep complaining, I'm going to cut the team. So, and then, Tom came back for 1 year, the coach that was there for a while, and then Tracy and I. But there was always that threat, And there are other things behind the scenes that happened starting in the fall, that were that Don was was retaliating against Tracy. So Tracy went over his head, and he didn't like that. And but now the Friday before, so the week before we were let go, Don was informed that there was an investigation into him by a independent third party lawyer over what Tracy had accused him of. And a week later, we were let go. And that's just coming out. That's new
Yeah.
information.
That I don't know the exact terms for it, but that seems like somewhat like it seems not good.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to like put the right word in it.
Retaliation upon retaliation.
Yeah.
You know, Tracy hasn't talked to the independent investigator yet. I think she meets with that person next week. But you know, and then where's our money? Where's the money that was raised? Where's the money there's supposed to be a $400,000 endowment.
Yeah.
That's for scholarships. He has no idea where it is. You know, I mean, that's ridiculous. You know.
And then there was the Cal Poly president came out and said that in order to that if you raise $25 million, we'll bring the team back. When I think isn't that more than the entire athletics budget?
Yeah, and then like some of the other sports are endowed, like golf, and they're at $10 million, and you know they spend more than they.
Yeah.
What endowments do is you spend the interest, like you keep the principal and then you just live off the interest. So he's saying it's going to cost $1 million a year, and our budget was $200,000. So it's like what's the deal? So I don't know where they came up with that number, but golf has 10 million, and they spend more than that. Why is golf okay to have 10 million, but we're not okay?
It like the math doesn't add up in my head of like, and this was even something that Alex and Evan touched on was like, we don't need 4 team shirts, so we don't need all the fancy bells and whistles. Like, give us a shirt, a cap, and a suit, and we've got a pool.
Right.
Like, I mean, and I can relate to that especially because my community college that I swam at, we had a shoestring budget. Like most years, we didn't have like a team hoodie. We had like a team long sleeve shirt. We weren't given tech suits, but we where we live, like Finney's headquarters is like across the highway.
Yeah.
So
I know
we would get like 50% off deals or like 60% off deals. Like, so we made it work, and like we'd rent out parkas and team gear and like backpacks like to put all our stuff in. So it was like we didn't.
Yeah, my parka always had a number on it. I had to give it back. I think they were football parkas.
Oh, they're used by the entire athletic department for us. So it was like we didn't need and we still had very successful seasons. We didn't need all the fancy bells and whistles.
Yeah, yeah. I think there were somebody over budgeted on all the clothing. We had 7 or 8, 10 shirts or something. I don't know. We just wanted tech suits and good food to eat and a good place to sleep. I mean, that's all we really cared about. But we kept getting better and better, and even with no warm up at UOP, we broke records, and then we're heading into conference thinking, this is great, So, and conference was a great meet, yeah.
And is it true that I was told there was literally a recruitment process to bring on a new commitment between conference and when the team got cut?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They never said a word to us. Never said.
That just reads to me as like a lack of conscience and a lack of care, because it's like they had to have known they wanted to cut the team sooner.
Right. We had heard like a month before, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it seems like independent investigation cut. So, yeah. My other job was as a journalist, so I'm always like, what's going on here? But I feel like we had just a wonderful team, wonderful year, and we were so looking forward to next year. It was like, wow, let's keep this ball rolling. It's so good. Don, the athletic director, never said congratulations to me or to any of the other athletes, that got awards at the end of the season or broke records. Nothing.
I mean, I wrote this was a so I wrote an article about the team that I'm sure you saw, and this was a paragraph that I was particularly proud um, of writing that like the athletes had asked him like, can you name one accomplishment that our team did this season? And then I listed like a whole like paragraph of accomplishments, and then I said he was not able to name a single one.
That was great. Yes.
I like that paragraph. I was like, oh, that's gonna read very well.
Yeah. Yeah. We had so many, and I did come, Tracy knew them a little bit, but I didn't know some. I'm like, how was that? That was my lifetime best time. That was my best time since high school. That was and, and we just get in and race every day and have fun. And
Yeah,
that's all. I mean, that was the secret to success. Everybody's like, what was your secret? I was like, we would race and have fun.
it was the picture is kind of becoming clearer for me now. Like there had been talk of like they didn't open up like when they were looking for new coaches, they didn't open it up to interviews. And I think the general mindset of that was, oh, they're going to hire on these people and then the team won't do as well. But then that
Right.
kind of just backfired in their face.
Right.
Like, it
Yeah.
backfired pretty
Ted Lasso.
dramatically. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Tracy and I would always be like, we'd get all these looks and we're like, look, they're wondering what these two old ladies are doing here, And next thing you know, we just smoke them and they're all like,
Yeah.
what's going on here,
It's like if you can create that kind of momentum in just your first season coaching a team, like, I mean, both Drew and Evan were, I think, like 6 spots off of qualifying for NCAAs.
Yeah, and they dropped from their times from last year.
Yeah.
And their relay splits were phenomenal. I think, Evan, you went 51, 100 breasts, 23, 50 breasts,
Yeah.
So, yeah, and everybody got faster. That's all. That was our whole goal. It's like, just get in and we're going to just, do everything we can to try to make you guys faster. And then Tracy had coached junior college forever, so she was much more versed at the college level. I was much more versed at the age group and senior level swimming, level. But I would see so much improvement in my kids, in rec kids during the summer when they'd have 2 meets a week, Wednesday night, Saturday. And they all we did was did you hear the dogs
I'm sorry. I was trying to like keep it together, and then I just heard
It's blue. It's a blue.
I'm sorry.
I'm like, and we do the Sunday, and we just race them. We put fins on them, paddles, and we'd race them. And I'm like, I go, Tracy, we just got to race them, and she's like, yeah, let's get in and everybody's so competitive. They're like, oh, I'm not gonna let that person beat me, So we get to the Santa Barbara meet and they're just flying, and we're like, wow, this is really this race pace swimming. It depends. We'd have different groups like sprint, mid distance, and distance, and they could get to choose. So we gave them a choice. Like we've never had a choice, and every day they'd be like, you need to tell us what's coming next. I'm like, no, I don't. I go, swimming at a meet is all about the unexpected things. You're going to have to figure it out, and they're like, why won't you tell us? I go, because I want you to be ready for the unexpected. And the week before conference, I had them all swim. We did 25s where I had them fill up their goggles with water and swim. Then I had them put their goggles around, when they fall this way, and one where their cap was falling off to get used to that idea that things could go wrong, and I think that helped a lot too. Like one guy's like, my goggles filled up and I didn't even care. So we just treated them with respect, and my whole goal is to tell them be able to coach themselves because they know what's best for them.
Yeah.
And we had 5 different taper groups, I think, because they go, oh, they tapered us all together. I'm like, no. I mean, some people want a long taper, some people want a short taper. The sprinters always want a taper. So we really gave them a lot of choices in what would work best for them. So,
I mean, that was kind of something my coaches did as well, where like in season, they'd kind of put us in like whatever we wanted or whatever they wanted us to swim. So like I always remember there was one meet a year where they'd put us in like 3 200s or like two fly, two back, 500 free, or like 4 IM,
Mhm.
500, like a relatively crazy event combination for like a 2 hour dual meet, if even 2 hours. But then, so like my third, fourth year in the team, I kind of started to key in on the fact that like, oh, they kind of know what they're doing. Like I've been
Yeah.
going best times, I've been swimming fast, like
Right.
so like on a certain level, like I kind of started to buy into it and tell other people like, okay, you need to buy into it because like just trust the process.
Yeah.
Because then we get to like conference where we're swimming one or two events a day at most.
And you're, yeah, flying
Yeah,
because you, yeah, yeah,
and then we get to pick the events that we want to swim, and it'll be the events that we've been training all season because those are the ones our
yeah.
coaches thought we'd be good at.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We had Olivia Sundgren do the 1650, hop out of the pool because it was against UC Davis, only women, and do the 200 free right after.
That's just a warm up.
Yeah. She's a beast. Yeah. But yeah. Yeah. And I think, yelling and screaming and calling people slow doesn't really do much for them.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's literally as simple as caring about the kids that you're coaching, having some basis in swimming. Like, I know people are like, oh, well, she doesn't have a basis in college swimming, but she has a basis in swimming. Like,
Right.
you know this sport, you've been a part of this sport almost your whole life, and then combine that with a coach who has some college coaching experience, it kind of ended up being like a pretty solid combination.
Yeah. And I don't think he wanted that. I think he thought, oh, this will be a train wreck.
Yeah.
And, yeah. And it wasn't. So, and the other coaches in the conference have been great. They've just been really helpful and really supportive. So really appreciative of that.
I mean, I think coaches in general, like, I remember, like, my first couple meets coaching, like, club, and, like, all the older coaches would help me out and, like, make
Yeah.
sure I knew when, like, oh, the coaches' meeting's at this time, oh, hospitality's over there, like, little things that just make it feel more like a group effort, even though we're all competing against each other.
Hmm. We didn't always have that. Like at the UNLV meet, we had a little bit of a bad experience, but what are you gonna
Yeah.
do?
Well, that's just about everything I had that I wanted to cover with you, but I want, like with Alex and Evan, I wanted to make sure, like, you got to say anything that, like, we didn't talk about, or just that if there was any other topics that you wanted to cover.
um, just that we coached with love. Like we coached with humor. We had music every day. We had a Taylor Swift day. We only played Taylor Swift songs, and everybody got friendship bracelets. One day we did sharks and minnows 50 meters, which was killing them. And some of the people had never done sharks and minnows, and I'm like, okay, did you even have a swimming childhood if you didn't do that? Um, and we just really wrapped our arms around them because they had had so much turmoil and trouble, and and we wanted to make it a positive experience for them. Um, and they're just great human beings. Like they're going to go out and make tons of money in engineering and computer science and all these wonderful things. So to have this sort of ripped away from them is heartbreaking. It's unfair, and it's not okay. So that's why we're doing that's what I want to talk about too, is uh, the GoFundMe is to help, in any way we can restore some part of the program. I mean, the big money is going to come from the big donors. Hopefully we'll find somebody that loves swimming and wants a pool named after them. And, so that's the goal.
Yeah, I mean the GoFundMe and like the petition link, they'll both be in the description. Like there'll be all the info about the team in the description of this video. But yeah, I like it's been on my mind like every time I've been in the pool the past week or so, just like all these athletes, like the freshmen putting up like retirement posts. I'm like,
Yeah.
that shouldn't be happening.
They shouldn't be having to quit because of this. They should be quitting on their own, going out on their own terms.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but this is a bigger problem with collegiate swimming. In a couple of years, are we even going to have an NCAA? Are we even going to, Are all the non-revenue sports going to go away? If you look at academia, there's majors and programs that bring in a ton of money. And then there's others that don't, and they pay for them. It's like, when I was at Florida State, we were paid for by football. I mean, 100,000 people went to the games. We used football buses. We worked out in the football weight room. I mean, there has to be, if you're in the Division I college business, you need to fund Division I college sports. And
Yeah.
if you can't do that, then you need to get out of D1. Like, go back to D2 and don't be in the Big West. That's what I say.
I mean,
That's my soapbox. That's my soapbox.
I mean, sort of to get on my soapbox here, I think there's definitely a way that, like, athletic directors and the people in charge, like, above the team, there's a way to make swimming and water polo and, like, track and field, there's a way to make these sports generate revenue.
Yeah.
Like, it is possible. It's just going to take, I think, more effort than people are willing to, like, that the people in charge are willing to put into it.
Right. Or share the piece of the pie. If all these sports are endowed,
Yeah.
why can't you give a little bit of money to swimming or like rowing, or I don't know what other sports, like cycling was always a club sport, and cycling's huge. I mean, all these sports you see at the Olympics that bring in millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah. I mean, like, in just this past season, like, I've seen, like, the ASU versus Arizona State, or versus University of Arizona dual meet. Like, there was, like, 2,000 people at that meet.
Yeah.
Like, it is possible.
Yeah, in Texas, they had, I don't know, they had like 5,000
Yeah.
people.
They're, like, huge meets. I mean, like, NCAAs usually sell out almost immediately.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing that's driven me the most crazy as a swim fan, and something that I've tried to, like, preach to whatever small platform that I have, is, like, in order for swimming to grow and be revenue generating and get more eyes on it, it needs to be easily accessible, and it needs to be, like, entertaining and fun to watch.
Right. And I think USA Swimming is starting to do that. I mean, at the national level, they'll have an announcer, or even if you go to Olympic trials, how they have the announcers that walk around and all that stuff. Make it more like a sporting event that you would go to, like a baseball game or
Oh, I mean, being at trials last year, like, it was phenomenal. Like, it was the coolest sporting event I've ever gotten to go to. Now I'm just wishing, like, okay, let's take that energy and, like, let's bring these, like, audience announcers, let's bring them to NCAAs, let's do all these fun things at, like, dual meets, like, something to, I don't want to say monotony, because it's not monotonous. Like, swimming, for me at least, is very entertaining.
Yeah.
But, like, something to make it accessible for a broader audience.
Right. Exactly. I agree.
Yeah.